The following program is rated T for teen for the use of tools and materials that can be harmful to unsupervised usage. Viewer discretion is advised.
Quickly, Mia! The gnomes have invaded our kingdom!
What can I do, Mr. Twanky Bottom?
Gather your courage and march at once!
There's not a moment to lose!
Forward we charge! For glory! This way, Mia! Quickly, come at once! Wait! Holy sh**! My village is on fire! How could they done this? I was merely gone for 30 seconds! That's literally on fire! Holy shit! Oh God!
Who could have done this?
How could they? Who?
This means war. I can't wait.
The only good tree is a dead tree. Holy smokes, I can't wait to burn everything to the ground.
I thought we were just using sticks and stones, you pint-sized hole.
We end your bloodlines here.
Not so fast. We have one of the finest air forces in all the lands.
Oh, you mean the one we just bombed to bits?
For the love of Log, you've got to be me.
Run while you have the chance, Treefolk. The gnomes have won this war. Flee, you cowards.
We'll be back in bigger numbers. Wait, General Cornelius.
Yes, my child, I have survived.
I thought you had died. We stand a chance now.
Yes, but we are small numbers.
Indeed. Mia, do you have any allies?
You are our only hope, chosen one.
I think I know a guy.
I think I need to stop taking on so much commission work. This detail work is just getting out of it. Come on. Hello? No, Mia, I don't have time to do any more projects. You want me to build a what fort?
Why did I hear fire in the background? You know what? Let's just get to this. Well, every good fortress needs a good set of walls, so let's get started on those. For the base, I've taken a piece of styrofoam that's 8 inches long and about 3 inches wide. And on the long sides, they have been rounded out. In the middle here, you can see that I've cut a groove, which is going to make it easier for me to insert the logs. Speaking of, here is my collection. These sticks are about 4 to 5 inches long and are, well, as straight as I could get them. Now, I'm going to have to make sure they're sharp on both ends here, so I'll take my trusty knife and start hacking away. Now, I'm going to need about 50 of these things, so I'm going to do a time lapse because I'm going to be here for a little while, I think. Yeah, I'm going to need a lot of these little guys. Alright, well, here's the bounty of my harvest, and we're going to get started on the wall. Now, I'm going to stick one here in the very middle with my trusty hot glue gun, and bolt that into place. From here, it's going to be a little bit of trial and error. You want to make sure that both sides are flush with each other. Sometimes there's little knobs in the wood that get in the way, so I'm going to do the best I can here to make them as relatively straight as possible, and we'll go from there. Since, once again, this is going to be a time-consuming piece, I'm going to do a bit of a time-lapse here. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. And you can see here, I've managed to get about half the wall done, going relatively straightforward. Nothing too complicated, just takes a bit of time. So here is about probably 10 minutes later, I finally got the other half of this done. And yeah, relatively straightforward. I was really lucky that most of my sticks were about the right size. They weren't too warped, so it went together relatively easily. I did a mock-up first of all. It seemed to work quite well, and voila. This is what my wall looks like. Add a little bit of detail. I'm going to take some very thin sticks. I'm going to glue them lengthwise across the entire piece. Now, it's up to you how much detail you want to add to the exterior of the walls. If you want, you could do some severed heads here and there, or you could have vines growing up the side, or maybe some banners hanging from the rampart. For me, I'm going to keep it relatively straightforward. These are very reminiscent of the old Orc Fortresses I made with my dad, and let's face it, this actually looks really solid as is. Alright, now it's time to start working on the rampart. For this one, it's going to be 8 inches long and about 1.5 inches wide. This should be big enough to accommodate a model that's on a 40mm base, such as like a Mega Armored Knob or a Terminator. Just be careful if they are pewter, this might not be the most stable platform. Alright, once I have it cut out, you're going to notice it's not going to be completely flush with the sticks. Obviously, some of them are thicker than others, so we'll just do the best we can. And as long as you put a pretty generous glob of hot glue gun on there, it should be alright. But before we get to that step, we're going to work on the planks. For this one, it is just some basic coffee stir sticks with the hot glue gun, and just mounting them into place. Now, you've seen me probably do this a million times in some other builds, and it's nothing really to write home about, so we are going to fast forward here. Just keep going with the floor plan here, lay your planks down, and, yep, time for a time lapse. Alright, this is what it looks like near the end here. It's a beautiful hardwood floor here. It's the envy of everyone in the neighborhood. Yep, beautiful. Alright, I'm going to make sure that it is still the same height as the other piece. I want it to be consistent here. And as I mentioned before, make sure you use a very generous glob of hot glue gun on here. We really need to make this as sturdy as possible. Now with that bolted in, it's not going to be enough to hold up the model. So what I've done is grabbed a couple of sticks that are, I'd say about 1 inch to 2 inches long, and we're going to use them as braces. So once again, a generous glob of hot glue gun to hold it in place there. And we're just going to jam it in. And this should be more than adequate to hold a regiment of soldiers up on the rampart. If you are going to use pewter models or anything like that, I might recommend putting a couple more in. But for any plastic soldiers or anything of that, resin, that kind of stuff, this should be more than enough. Yeah, seems pretty durable to me. And this is what our basic wall piece is going to look like. Relatively straightforward, and it went together very quick. Alright, it is now time to work on the base. For this one, we're going to take some clear Elmer's glue, or you can use white glue if you happen to have it on hand, and just make sure you spread it across everything. Once you have it down, we're going to go in with some sand and sprinkle it across the entire surface. Now, for me, I'm going to do the front and the back here. I'm probably going to do the end caps as well. I don't know if I filmed that or not, but basically anything with pink styrofoam is going to get completely covered in the glue and sand combo. So we'll sprinkle that across the surface, knock off the excess, and we'll go from there. Alright, it's now time to work on the painting segment. As you can see, I've already primed the rampart and the base with a coat of black paint, and now I'm going to go in there with some burnt umber and dry brush that across the surface. Now, I'm a little bit torn on the logs. I'm kind of torn if I should keep them in their natural state or if I should give them a couple coats of paint. I'll make the decision once I get a couple more colors on here and just sort of see how bad the contrast is. It's kind of funny, but if you keep colors natural, like sticks and that kind of stuff, and stones, it kind of looks weird on a model. I'm not going to lie. So we'll get a couple more layers on there. We'll see how bad the contrast is. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, we'll put some paint on there. Now, speaking of paint, I'm working on my next layer. This is 1 part brown and 1 part golden yellow to make a lighter sandy color. And this is getting dry brushed across all the surfaces. Now, if you want a couple alternatives to do wood effects, you can check out a previous episode where I do a couple different styles. But for now, we're using the quick and easy technique. Alright, for the next layer, we're going to take 2 parts brown and golden yellow and 1 part white to make a lighter color. Now, the keen eye of you might have noticed that the inside base is black once again. Problem is, the glue didn't set all the way and it started to get ruined. So I had to go in and put a new layer down, so it'll get covered in a bit once it all fully dries. So it'll get done, just bear with me here, folks. Alright, next up, we are going to add another piece of white to our mix to make it an even lighter color. This time there's hardly anything on my bristles. It's a very light dry brushing, and we're doing all the surfaces. And the black is still drying in the back. We'll get to that eventually. Don't worry. But look at the hardwood floor. Doesn't it look beautiful? Oh yes. The envy of everyone. Alright, once that's all dried, we're going to go in with our glue once again and put in little patches here, 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 and here. And then we're going to take some flock. Can you guess what we're going to do next? We're going to sprinkle it all over there. That's right. You get a cookie. You smart cookie, you. Alright, wipe off the excess. I'll go back in and do the back panel once it all fully dries, and we'll go from there. But yeah, as I'm looking at these logs, I think I'm going to have to do something about it. It's not working for me, so here's my first attempt. This is just with some brown wash, and you know what? This doesn't look too bad. Makes it a little bit darker, and you know, I can work with this, but I think I really want to go in and just do a full paint job. So, as you can see here, I have primed them all black, and now I'm going to go in with some burnt umber. And unfortunately, one of the pieces fell off. I'll have to glue that back on later, but yep, I think we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to make it painted. All right, I'm going to do a pretty good layer across the entire thing with the burnt umber, and we'll go from there. Now, one of the panels actually is going to be the gatehouse of the fortress, and this is the front gate. So I'm going to swap between this and the wall just to show you a little bit cleaner what the colors I'm using. So the burnt umber's done. Now I'm going to go in with 1 part brown, 1 part of the golden yellow, and a little bit of white in the mix. And you get something that looks a little bit like this. Now, I'm going to keep swapping between the two. The wall, you can see here I'm using the exact same colors I just talked about on there. I'm going to jump between the two just so you get a pretty clear look of what I'm doing. But yeah, right off the bat, this is already making the logs look a lot stronger. Now, I've gone in with the same mix with a little bit more white added in, dry brushing it, again, getting lighter and lighter. My brush is always getting lighter as the colors get lighter. I'm going to brush across here as well. In certain areas, I'm focusing a lot heavier. Some of these logs aren't getting touched, just as it would be in nature. Not all the logs are going to be uniform. There is going to be some different consistencies in the color. Here we got some pure white being dry brushed very lightly across the surface. And I'm going to do the same across here. Some of these logs look a little bit grayed. Some of them look a little bit newer. Yeah, this is really coming together. All right. I think I'm finally done. I really like this, and it works really well with the other panel as well. There we go. The walls of the fortress. Finished. They look solid. And so I decided to make a giant tree fort as well. I took a giant stick that I found in my backyard and I nailed it to a piece of wood. Exciting. And then I made some platforms for it, exactly the same as I did for the ramparts, except these are to go around the different pieces. You can see they're nestled in between the branches. This is ridiculous. I'm not even going to really show much of this because it's the exact same thing I did with the walls. You can see here I'm applying the sand to the base. Look how big this thing is. It's ridiculous. But I really wanted something, over the top ridiculous for this video. So, yeah, here we go. I'll spray paint the entire thing black. I'm not going to hand brush this thing because it's going to take way too long. So, yeah. Put a generous coat of black on this whole thing, and then rinse and repeat the exact same technique that I used on the walls. Relatively straightforward. You can see here the base looks almost identical. And now I'm just going to go in there and, again, I just want to show you how big the base is, because this is ridiculous. And we're just going to sprinkle more flock all over this thing, and, yeah. I don't know why Mia needs a fortress. I mean, this is really short notice. This is kind of ridiculous, and her specifications were a little weird, but oh well, she says this will be a great episode, and she said someone really needs this, so I'm always willing to help those who are in need. But who the hell is Twiggy Bottom? Is it one of our customers? Well, after Mia was babbling for about an hour about garden gnome invading the neighborhood, I decided I'd had enough, and I was going to go grab some pizza. Well, in the meantime, she decided to paint some figurines. For this one, the model was primed pure black and a coat of burnt umber on top for the first base coat. And this will go across this figure and the giant treeman, which you might see us jumping between the two just so you get a more consistent picture of some of the different colors. Once that's out of the way, we're going to go in with 1 part brown, 1 part golden yellow, and a smidge of white to make a lighter color. Now she's going to give ample time for both the models to fully dry before moving on to the next step, which adds a little bit more white to the mix to make a lighter color. And this will get dry brushed across the entire surface to really make the details pop out. And this is a really fantastic figurine. It's sort of an amalgamation of roots and vines and leaves and mushrooms and all that stuff. This swamp creature is from Wizards of the Coast and their unpainted model line. And if I recall correctly, I believe the treeman is from the same line as well. And they've got a lot of fantastic details for a pretty affordable price, I must say. Now, Mia's decided to go in with another layer. This time it is a light gray color that's going to dry brush across all of the bark. And this is really going to make this pop out, and it gives the treeman a bit of an aged look. Like, this thing has been out in the elements for centuries, if not millennia. And it really does a great job in enunciating different features, especially in the face, where you can really see the eyes and the mouth pop out. So she'll finish up on this one, and we'll go on to the next step from there. But before we do that, let's actually take a look at this. Check out the detail. This is really nice. And this is just a couple layers of different browns and a light gray on top. Alright, now it's time to really pick out the vines and the leaves on the model. Now for this one, she's using a dark forest green, which is a little bit hard for the camera to pick up here, but there's a couple large vines that she's really focusing on, the leaves across his back, and we'll just go from there. Like I said, this one's a little bit harder to see, but we're doing the exact same thing with the giant tree ent as well. And we'll give that ample time to dry before moving on to the next step once again. This next layer is an emerald green, and it really pops out. You're going to dry brush this across all the previous layers that you just did with the green. For the leaves, it's really going to stand out. Make sure you leave a little bit of the green from the previous layer to poke through there. Any of the vines, don't go all the way. Make sure some of it still is poking through. That way you have a nice contrast. You'll really see it here when she starts working on the leaves. It's relatively straightforward. We're only going to use a couple different shades of green, but it's going to be very noticeable. Alright, now we're going to go in with basically a neon green. This thing is just out of this world. But I think it's really going to do a great job in picking out the details, and it's really going to make, especially the leaves, pop out a lot more. We'll use it very sparingly on the larger vines. We don't want it to be too overpowering, but in the smaller details, it's just going to catch your attention. We'll cover the entire back here, and we'll go from there. Did you see that? My foot had a cameo. Exciting stuff. Alright, I believe the leaves and the vines are finished, so we're going to move on to the mushrooms. For this one, we're going to take a bright blood red, and we're going to put it all over the mushroom knob. That sounded dirtier than it had to be. But that's okay. That's okay. We have standards here, people. Standards. Who am I kidding? This is probably the reason we've been shadow banned 3 times. But enough about my sorrows. Let's work on those mushrooms. We're going to take a very fine brush here that has a single unicorn hair on it and add a tiny drop of white. Now, we zoomed the camera in just a little bit. It's a little hazy to see, but I think you get the gist of what we're going for here. It's the stereotypical mushroom that you see. You know, it's the bright red with the white drops all over it. So, yeah, nothing too complicated here. Just make sure you go in with a steady hand. If you do make a mistake, quickly wipe it off with some water if you can, and just wait a few minutes before trying again. I think Nia's got this in the first take here, though. This is looking pretty good. All right, there we go. Mushrooms done. All right, time to start working with the flock again. Now, normally, we usually just keep it on the bases, or if we're working with some scenery pieces, we'll scatter it across there. But since we're working with treemen, it kind of made sense to actually put it on the model as well. So once we finished with the base, Mia decided to go in and start spreading it in different areas, including the shoulders, some of the kneecaps, and especially the beard. I mean, with this guy, he's got a pretty majestic beard going here, so we thought it would really add a new element by putting flock all over that. And I gotta say, it really brings this guy to life. It just adds that extra detail, extra layer to him, and yeah, this is turning out fantastic. By the way, this is the third figure Mia's ever painted. You gotta give it to her. She's knocking this one out of the park. And for the final step here, we're gonna take some little tufts of grass, put a little glob of glue, and place it in there. Like so. And we're going to sprinkle these across the base and just sort of bring it to life. And once we're fully satisfied with that, voila, the final product. Now bear in mind, Mia has only painted a handful of figurines up to this point. I think she did an amazing job. There's lots of nice detail work in the bark, there's some different shading and dry brushing technique, and the moss really brings this character to life. This Mr. Twiggy Bottom and General... What on earth am I reading here? Anyway, this one has really nice work in the vines. There's multiple layers. The mushrooms really pop out. Overall, an amazing job. And finally, we have the fortress in its full glory. Now, this took a couple hours, I think, honestly, just to do all the panels. Just waiting for the glue to dry took, obviously, the longest. But this looks striking. It's very strong. And these are about 9 inches long. You could easily make this a lot larger. You could make it into a full castle if you wanted. But the whole idea is it's a quick, easy build. It's going to look great on your battlefield. And I hope you guys were satisfied with this finale of the season.
Hey, 7 Dwarf Rejects, are you ready for round 2 of the war?
You don't stand a chance against the likes of... Wait, is that a fortress? That's not fair!
What are we supposed to do? I can't clear a 4-inch wall. It's too high.
Oh god, guys, what do we do? I think we're royally Even their soundtrack is kick-ass.
Gosh darn it all to heck, we don't stand a chance now at all, kinfolk.
You'll be the first to taste our arrow's vengeance.
Arrows? My one weakness.
I will not go down as easy. I am immune to any sticks and arrows.
Well, then how about a fist-sized rock to the face, loser?
Oh crap.
This can't be happening. We had you beaten. Retreat, my soldiers, and we'll live another... Whoa! I can go this way. No, I'm trapped! I'm trapped! I have you now, and you will face the wrath of our artillery. Fire the catapult. What? Catapult? No!
Yes! You got him, Cornelius! Well done, old chap!
You haven't seen the last of us. The gnomes will rule forever!
You should have quit when you were ahead!
He should have known better.
He's the butt end of the oak.
What a day, a glorious battle, and it's thanks to you, Mia.
Yes, without you, chosen one, we would all have perished.
Oh, we was nothing.
Whenever you need us, Mia, we will be there for you. You're one of us now.
But now, my sweet child, it is time for you to wake up. You've been tripping balls for an hour.
I don't know, dude. I was getting a little bit worried. I didn't know who else to call, but I found her here in my garden, and she's been tripping balls for the last hour.
It's fine, Adam. But has she had anything to eat?
I don't know. She had some pizza out of my fridge, I guess?
Oh, pizza. Pizza. Not gluten-full pizza.
Yeah, I would have gluten. Why?
Gluten! No, Adam, don't let her out of your sight. Last time she had gluten, she thought she was abducted by aliens. I'll be over there right away. I just gotta get my stuff. Don't let her out of your sight.
You have incoming phone call.
Adam, it's Mia. It's Mia. Look, I'm gonna borrow your car. It's actually a spaceship. I'm gonna go to outer space. I'm okay. Take 5. Gluten! Milky Ways! Where are the
the dogs. Grass. No. You know which Papa's mouth. No.
Start dancing off to the side. How the kind of moves make it feel so alive. I try my best and not invest, but I'm walking right up like what's a miss. Gotta say that you got the moves. I feel what you're doing, rocking that groove. You're in the mood, then let's go dance. It's like a spell and you got me entranced. Should be caution taken, stuck in what I say, but I'm sleepwalking. We start talking.